coelacanths are perfect in what they do, so, and yet they're still around. So the original ancestor of the chimpanzee and the human being, they were perfect. And nonetheless, they evolved into something else, according to you. That the human form should also evolve. There should be some evolution of some member of the human race, some member of the primates, some member of some cat or some other mammal. You don't see that. And that's why I don't buy it. Never did. Will not. So you argue with me, you tell me there's such a thing as ERVs, and that I know nothing of evolutionary biology. Yeah, I don't know the formal terms. I understand what it means. I understand what the function is. The function is to change from one form to another. That the genetic code changes through various stimuli, most of which are beyond our control. I understand all of that. It's just that you don't see it. You don't see it in the past. You don't see it in the future. You make assumptions. You make assumptions that the fossil record proves. And you had a lot of fossils, and you had a lot of missing links. You don't have, what you don't have is actual proof of the originals. You don't have actual proof of any changes. What you have is fossils. And there's no proof that one set of fossils gave rise to another set of fossils. That perhaps there was a creator who created things at different times and destroyed them. As the Talmud says, that God created worlds and destroyed them. There is no proof for evolution. So you tell me ERVs. ERVs are a proof because the ERVs are found in the genome. That means the gene, the seed of the human, as well as the seed of the chimpanzee, or chimpanzee. And they're in the exact same position. And you show me mathematically that it is mathematically impossible for them to be there by themselves. And this reminds me of the argument of the Bible, the Torah codes people. The Torah codes people find codes, and based on those codes, they extrapolate what is the mathematical possibility for those things to happen by themselves. And they also show you that it is mathematically impossible for those Torah codes to have existed by themselves without some kind of ingenious design of a creator. This is using the same argument backwards. And just as you say that statistics do not prove a particular position, neither in authenticating Torah codes or my great friend who I met, it was my privilege to have met him in 1972, spent some time with him. We argued like cats and dogs over certain things, but I had the greatest respect for him as a human being. Both him and his wife, Professor Atara Sofer, Zichrona Livracha, Zecher, Tzadekis Livracha, she was an incredible, incredible person. Both these people came to Boston in 1972, spent a year there. He was there in a sabbatical, helping the staff at MIT solve problems that they couldn't solve themselves. This Hasidic Jew, Avram Michal Hassefer, professor of statistics in New South Wales, went on a mission to discover what the results of radioactive fallout, radioactive poisoning of the seas, how that would affect the biology of the marine biology of the Pacific, and whether we would have monsters of the deep and they would come on land and destroy all life, as people thought in my days. So the professor found, with his team of scientists, millions of mutations, and not one new species. And he wanted to understand why. Why is it that you have so many mutations in that one species that's new? And he concluded that in order to have evolution, you have to have far more mutations, and these mutations have to be positive and replicable, and that the chances of them happening are so remote that there's no chance that the atom bomb will cause a destruction of life as we know it. It can poison, but it cannot change the life radically. The same way, he concluded that it is mathematically impossible for evolution to have ever taken place. That evolution is the greatest hoax ever put on humankind. Those were his words. And I want you to understand something. He wrote his paper in the 60s in a very prestigious journal of scientific review. And they never, ever criticized it. Why? The answer is his mathematics were perfect. There was no way to get around it. And they just shrugged their shoulders and said, it doesn't make a difference. It just happened. So now, listen to me. He said it is mathematically impossible for evolution to have taken place, and yet you insist evolution takes place. And you go against the statistics, the statistical probabilities. And yet you now want to go ahead and use statistical probabilities to prove that ERVs that are found in the genome of the chimpanzee and the human being, that somehow or other also proves evolution. You can't have it both ways. If the statistics can be used to prove or disprove something, use it in both ways. Look, there are about 98,000 ERVs in the human genome, according to what I've seen. The human being supposedly is several million years old. The human species, the hominoid species. During those millions of years, we existed prior to that, also millions of years, as a kind of ape. It goes back 20, 30 million years at least. There should have been, in the course of those 20, 30 million years, many thousands of viruses that the ancestor of the human and the chimpanzee went through, and they should have been broken down as ERVs. Why there are only 16 or 7? That actually goes to the heart of destroying the argument that ERVs prove evolution. On the contrary, ERVs disprove evolution, because if indeed there was evolution,